Hi, I'm the Oppguru Richard Rothman, the world's first and only opportunity consultant. And I'm going to talk about the power of opportunity. 4 profitable lessons for entrepreneurs. Lesson 1, there's no point being average. Most of us are familiar with the bell curve, the normal distribution of efforts and results. And we generally try to benchmark ourselves against companies in the middle that are average. If you're benchmarking against the average, you're just surviving. It's a mug's game. Frankly, the vast majority of profits in any sector are taken by the companies on the right tail of the bell curve. That's the 1 or 2% of companies that make almost all the profit. That's where you want to be. A better view of the distribution of effort and results is called the power curve. Here we have a power curve showing world income distribution. Most of us are familiar with the famous 1%. On the right side, on the right tail, you see that 1% of the people in the world get 100 times average wealth, and the top 10% take 10 times average wealth. This is where you want to be as far as the result of your business. The same applies for companies as well. McKinsey did a study of the average economic profits of the top 3,000 companies in the world, and again we see this power curve. In the top 20% of companies, the average profit was 1.18 billion. The next 20% are 1/10 of that, and you can see that the bottom 40% of companies actually lost money. And even within the top 20%, we see this power curve where 1% of the companies have made outsized profits. The same applies to the Indian market. I conducted a study of the top 100 Indian companies from 2015 to 2018, and we can see the distribution of profit after tax. Again, we see this power curve. The top 20 firms earn 68% of total profit, and more remarkably, the top 20 firms earn 95 times more profit than the bottom 20 firms, and they're all big companies. A recent study conducted by Marcellus Investment Advisors found that remarkably 20 most profitable companies in India generate 70% of the company's profits, and that's up from 14% only 30 years ago. That wraps up lesson 1. In a nutshell, there's no reason to be average. Now we move on to lesson 2 to teach you how to reach the 1%. First of all, you need to focus. One of my favorite businessmen, probably the most successful businessman and entrepreneur of the last 50 years, was Steve Jobs, and he was a master of focus. In 1996, he was brought back to Apple when it was on the verge of bankruptcy, and the first thing he did was to cut the product line from 355 computers down to only 10. And people said, "You're crazy, how can you do that?" He said, "We need to free up resources to focus on the next big opportunity." And that's exactly what he did. And Apple continues to be the most focused company in the world, focusing only on the best opportunities. As the current CEO, Tim Cook, has said, "We say no to great opportunities in order to keep the amount of things we focus on very small in number, so that we can put enormous energy behind this small number of opportunities that we do choose." In 2018, the Wall Street Journal reported that there were 1,000 companies in the world making smartphones. But remarkably enough, only one company, Apple, made 92% of the industry's profit. In other words, the other 999 companies only made 8% of the industry's profit. And you can see that 70% of Apple's revenue came from only one product, the iPhone. That is focus in action. But what should you focus on? It's imperative, it's absolutely crucial that you focus on big opportunities. And you can do it. In fact, anyone can focus on big opportunities. I'm sure most of you recognize these 4 men. They're all famous Indian billionaires who have gone from rags to riches. Now, how is it possible that these men, and many others like them, have started with nothing, but were able to take advantage of big opportunities? They could do it because all opportunities are free, and they're freely available to anyone. You can't go and buy an opportunity even if you want to. There is no opportunity shop. Better yet, big opportunities are like powerful magnets that attract all the resources you need to scale up. They'll attract the money and the team. I've talked with hundreds of managing directors and entrepreneurs of company, and the biggest complaint they have is that they can't attract adequate money and adequate team. But what they're really lacking is a big opportunity. You know, a few years ago, I met a young entrepreneur, a 20-year-old kid, a dropout of IIT, who had just raised $20 million from the US VC firm Tiger Global. How is it possible that a kid with no track record could do that? That's because money is attracted not to people. Money is attracted to opportunities with huge scale potential. As the famous Indian investor Prem Watsa has said, if you have opportunity, money comes. That wraps up lesson 2. Now we move on to lesson 3, that tells you how to find big opportunities. Unfortunately, rather than focusing on big opportunities, most entrepreneurs and business people spend almost all their time trying to solve small problems. If you're in business, you're snowed under dealing every day, firefighting, problem solving with operations, email, and a million other things. Unfortunately, the search for big opportunities tends to get pushed to the bottom of the priority list, while it should be right at the top. So what creates opportunities? It's an important question. It's one I've studied for many years. I've written 2 books about it. The fact is, in a nutshell, that opportunities are created by change in your environment. Imagine if your environment had no change at all. If it was totally static, there would be no opportunities. We are very fortunate to live in a modern world in which change is abundant and happening all the time, which creates great opportunities for all of us. Unfortunately, many people resist change or they resent change, but that's the wrong attitude to have, because change is the mother of all opportunities. How does change create opportunities? Well, I'll illustrate with a product that all of us have, a mobile phone. I'm sure years ago, most of us had a phone like this Nokia feature phone here. And then one day, most of us switched quite abruptly to a BlackBerry. And then one day we all dropped the BlackBerry and got a smartphone. What change in the environment drove the evolution of the mobile handset industry from the Nokia feature phone to the BlackBerry to the smartphone? There was one major key driver of change in the environment that drove this evolution. Now, I've asked groups of hundreds of people this question, and very few people can guess the answer. That's because the change that drove this evolution came from outside the mobile handset industry. It came from the telecom industry. And that change was in bandwidth. With a 1G phone like the Nokia, you could only have phone calls and SMSs. With a 2G phone, you could add email. With a 3G phone, you could put a network computer on the phone and expand utility 1,000 times. Nokia didn't take advantage of this change, it got wiped out. BlackBerry didn't take advantage of the change, it got wiped out. Now, a good example of a company that did take advantage of this change in bandwidth was Netflix. Netflix started out as a very much offline company whose business model was to mail DVDs to people at a time when the only way to watch movies was using DVDs. But as soon as 3G became available, Netflix realized that this was the future, that they had to latch on to this trend, and they very abruptly changed their business model to online streaming. A lot of people thought they were crazy, but they have become the market leader and benefited greatly from this. And imagine if they hadn't switched to streaming, they also would have been wiped out. You know, a few years ago, I was very fortunate when I was on the teaching team at Harvard Business School in Asia. I was invited to a lecture by Professor J. Bruce Harold. Professor Harold had conducted a study of companies throughout the world, all sectors, all sizes. And remarkably enough, he had found that only 1.7% of companies survive more than 40 years. Imagine that. That's only half a human lifespan. How long should a company be able to live? Well, theoretically, forever. Professor Harold found that companies die because change makes their opportunities irrelevant. All opportunities have a life cycle. Some opportunities like Coca-Cola can last more than 100 years, while some tech products can only last a couple of years. In reaction to change, companies either choose to stand still, as Kodak did, and die, or they pursue new opportunities that don't adapt well to change, such as BlackBerry or Nokia, and they die. Successful companies like Netflix Choose opportunities that adapt best to key drivers of change. In order to find these new opportunities, it's very important to first focus on your mission. Unfortunately, nobody will pay you because you're needy or greedy, so having a mission of profit actually is counterproductive. It does not help you to find these new opportunities in any way. Profits are a score. They're like the goals you get in a game. They're not the reason for your success. Opportunities are the cause. I'll give you an example. Let's say that you want to lose 10 kilos. Would wanting to lose 10 kilos in any way, shape, or form help you to lose 10 kilos? Of course not. You'd have to focus on the how side of the equation. For instance, running 3 times a week or managing your diet. And opportunities are the how. The best opportunities are the ones that create tremendous value for your customers. They also give you value. And the key driver of value is utility, the amount of useful service that you can provide to your customers. Imagine the amount of additional utility every user of a smartphone has compared to the amount of utility he got from a feature phone or a BlackBerry. It's probably 1,000 times more. And the best opportunities are what I call value arbitrages. All opportunities involve an exchange of value between you and a customer. The best opportunities are the ones in which you have a value arbitrage, in which each side of the exchange feels like they're getting a better deal. A great example of this is Google. A recent study found that each user of Google receives an economic value each year of $12,000. Yet you pay nothing to use Google. How does it work? Well, you provide Google your data in exchange for their services to help you search. If you tried to sell your data yourself, you'd get nothing. But when Google aggregates the data of billions of people, they make billions of dollars. So they benefit and you benefit, and both of you are getting an arbitrage. These are the best kinds of opportunities to look for. But how do most entrepreneurs choose opportunities? Unfortunately, most entrepreneurs don't search for value or service. What they do is use the Xerox machine and copy others. This is not a route to finding big opportunities. The other important thing is that great opportunities are unique, the way Freddie Mercury was unique. In order to have a great opportunity, you must sing your own song. You can't be a cover band. Even if you're not singing your own song, it has tremendous value if millions of others are singing it. That's what you need to shoot for. So how do you discover golden opportunities? Some people think you need to be a genius like Steve Jobs to find golden opportunities, but that's clearly not true. Some people think finding golden opportunities is just all about luck. Just imagine this situation. Imagine a rich uncle you'd never heard of leaves you 50 crores. Whoopee, you're rich. You decide to chill out and you take your money to a wealth manager and ask him, how do you invest in equities? What's your process? And the wealth manager says, well, I used to have a staff of analysts, but they were too expensive, so I fired them all. In any case, results all are about luck. Luck is all that matters. So instead, I got rid of them and I replaced them with this monkey. And every day I put a blindfold over the monkey's eyes and he throws darts at the stocks on the wall, and that's as good a way as any. Now tell me something. Would you invest with a wealth manager who used a blindfolded monkey to choose stocks? Everyone I've asked said no. On the other hand, wouldn't you agree that using systematic processes creates better outcomes? I've asked that question to hundreds of entrepreneurs and they all agree that systematic processes do create better outcomes. For example, you wouldn't go to a surgeon who didn't use a systematic process. Your CA uses a systematic process. Engineers use them, factories use them. The fact is that systematic processes are the foundation of our modern world. So ask yourself these questions. First of all, do you currently use a systematic process to find, evaluate, and choose the best opportunities? I've asked this question in the past 7 years to over 300 managing directors and owners of Indian companies, and every single one of them has answered no. None of them have a systematic process to identify the best opportunities, even though they all acknowledge that the opportunities they choose are crucial to their success. So ask yourself this: is there any reason you don't need a systematic process to find, evaluate, and choose the best opportunities? Fortunately, I have the answers for you, and I'll share it with you in Lesson 4. This is Lesson 4, how to use a systematic opportunity process. In my own consulting business, Open Mind, I've developed a 6-step process called the Open Mind process to uncover, recover, and discover opportunities for sustained profitable growth. And the process starts with what I call an opportunity audit. So what is an audit? An audit is a picture of reality. Every year when you do a financial audit, your CA doesn't just count half of your money, he counts all of it. So an audit should be a very thorough picture of your reality. Why do you want to have an audit? And why audit your opportunities? Well, it's because opportunities are created by change in your environment. So to see opportunities, you must be aware of your environment. It's just logical. Unfortunately, most of us have a very limited view of our environment. And auditing your opportunity environment requires full awareness. So imagine for a minute that you're an ant, and your whole world looks like this. What's in this box? You think that is the entire world. Now, one day, a helicopter comes out of the air, a little helicopter, and it lands right in front of you, and out of it steps a very rich ant. And he says, "Hey, bud, you're missing opportunities because you have a very limited view of your environment. Get into my helicopter and I'll show you what it really looks like." So you step into a little ant helicopter, take off, and he shows you this. Suddenly you see that there's a whole wider environment out there that you were missing. And the whole time you were just sitting on the elephant's ear. What does an opportunity audit involve? Well, there are 4 segments to your opportunity environment. The most important segment is right inside of you and inside your company, your mission. And then the business model. These are the internal parts of your environment. The external part of environment is your market and your domain. Your domain is a part that most people miss, just like the guys who made Nokia and BlackBerry. It's everything outside of your market that affects your opportunities. In order to audit your environment, it's very important to ask questions. When I do an opportunity audit, I talk to promoters, I talk to the team members, I talk to customers. For B2B companies, I talk to customers, I talk to consumers, channels, competitors, suppliers, industry experts, domain experts. You want to get as wide a view of your opportunity environment as possible. And when you go through that audit process, you are able to identify loads of opportunities. In fact, you'll be able to create your own opportunity inventory. When I do an audit for a company, I typically identify over 100 opportunities, and there are various types. We have current opportunities, things you're currently doing or planning to do. Of old opportunities, perhaps ones you think you missed, or ones you failed at but could recover. And we have new opportunities, opportunities you never thought of before that come to the surface. These opportunities are in all parts of your opportunity environment, in your mission, your model, your market, and your domain. And finally, we identify opportunities. Those are things you're doing now that you shouldn't be doing because they're not opportunities. So you've got a basket, you have an inventory of opportunities. How do you identify the ones that are gold, those 1% that can give you gold? Well, unfortunately, golden opportunities are not golden on the outside, they're golden on the inside. So you have to have a careful process of evaluation. These are the steps I take to evaluate opportunities. First, of course, we do the audit and create the opportunity inventory. And we filter these through the key drivers of change. And then we filter all opportunities through 9 value filters, starting, of course, with utility. Then we filter these opportunities through alignment filters. In order for an opportunity to be successfully executed, all 4 segments of your opportunity environment must align around it. Now, obviously, this presentation is not in depth enough to go into detail about these steps, but fortunately, There's a great deal of information about this process in my book, The Power of Opportunity. It goes into great detail about the entire opportunity process. And my previous book, Master Opportunities and Make It Big, gives you inspiring examples of 18 entrepreneurs who've gone from rags to riches by taking advantage of opportunities and all the lessons they've learned from it. And these books are easily available to you on Amazon or Flipkart. So that's the end of the road for these 4 powerful lessons for entrepreneurs. I hope you'll send me some questions. I'd be happy to answer them. You can contact me by email at richard.rothman@oppguru.com. And feel free to visit my website, oppguru.com, for loads of videos, case studies, and other information. You can also visit my book website, powerofopportunity.com. Register there to download a free copy of Chapter 1 of that book. I also invite you to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Oppguru, which has dozens of educational videos like this one. Also follow me on LinkedIn, where I'm constantly posting new content to help you on your opportunity journey.